So speaking of BLM in specific, right? The oppression, first of all, the fucking brutal murder and police violence that led to BLM, and then the brutal police. So we're peacefully protesting police brutality. And how do the police respond? With police brutality, right? 7 reporters got shot in the face with rubber bullets, permanently fucking blinded. Reporters, dude, in the fucking United States of America, right? We look at other countries and we say, we need to invade this country because they did that shit. And here it's happening on our streets and it's all good. Nobody's got a fucking problem with it, right?
And that's where those guys that played the games back in the 20s and years ago when they were putting all this stuff together, the 20s short version of that, but it goes back a little bit further. That's why they just can't have a democracy the way it is that we see it, because they got to be dirty. You know, it's yin and yang. It's all yin and yang. It's not just sunshine and fucking rainbows, you know?
Love you, one.
I just hope we just do this shit with freedom in mind, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Because people are not going to get on board if you restrict their freedoms. Nah, that's the problem I'm seeing. And it's a side that is authoritarian. That's another side that is authoritarian. And then this guy's in the middle like, I just want to be free, left alone, but we can figure this shit out. And a Puerto Rican dude. Most people get along. There's a bunch of bullshit they say. It's more divide and conquer nonsense. I'm a zillennial. I'm a hybrid between Generation X and Millennial. Born in '84.
And you want to take this party to another rock?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Let's keep this genetic pool right the fuck here until we can get along with each other before we go trying to commit genocide on another fucking rock.
Because what's inevitable, once they get up there, the people that have, the original people, like their intention, maybe their heart's in the right place. They get up there, okay, and it's pleasant for a long time. And eventually, the beast kicks in, the limbic system. Savage.
Oh, dude. Yeah, man. Yeah. And who's going up there? It's not you and me, dude. It's Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and the Rockefellers, right? So all the rich fuckers are going to be up on Mars. And all of a sudden, one guy's going to be like, I want it different.
Say it again.
I got to kill them. I want it different. I got to kill these fuckers.
There you go.
Right?
Come on now. That's how a lot of this stuff got to this place. Every time we turn around, there's war, anarchy, and all that. And people forget that, you know, and just being crazy. That carried on. It wasn't like all of a sudden said, oh my God, look at these people. Don't you ever grow up and like that. I don't think it got like that. What's that?
And collective, I want to add one thing to that. The only way the left, the progressives, the working class have ever got anything, the only way we got the 8-hour workday, the 40-hour workday week, the 5-day work week was through blood, through the labor wars.
There it is. Remember that? Yep. And it's
the labor
always go down like that. You know, the Boston Tea Party and all that. Okay, the original person, they may have that heart and they may have that in mind, but as it branches out and starts to thin out away from the original person, question mark. Because people, man, it depends on what's going in their gene pool or what have you. The people, they're survival mode, man. They get into this place where you just never know what a person's like until they put under pressure. You know, they don't have it good, and then they have to just survive. And when they get into that mode, there's nothing there to draw from. Typically, people will do what we've been seeing them do.
Hey, welcome to our new listener, Shamroka. Chime in on the conversation, please. Yeah, no, I agree, and you know, it's not going to be pretty. Like, who's going to go to Mars? We know who's going to go to Mars, right? And what are they going to leave us? They're going to leave us the planet that they killed? Nah, dog.
Yep.
And I invoke Malcolm X in this by any means necessary. You know, I'm a peaceful dude. But if you're fucking with my air and you're fucking with my water, you might as well be fucking with my family and my money, right?
Yeah, because that's no joke.
Isn't it the same thing?
Yeah.
Why don't we look? Why don't we look at it as the same thing? Why don't we look at the CEO of Exxon? Why don't we look at him as like an enemy of the state? Like, that dude should be in hiding, right?
I said, dare to dream, and our dreams release. But we're supposed to monitor and be a part of those dreams, active part of it. And people forget
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
You know, you got a dream right now, be ready to release. And
I am manifesting right now, brother.
And talk and hey, you know, what you doing? How you living it? Take an interest in your neighbor for a moment, because it might be something that could affect us. And don't be lost. Let's not be lost. That's what happens. So we think deeper, richer thinker. We're thinking like this because every one of us has a dream. And damn it, we're gonna sit there and keep that dream in our head when at the same time, as a kid, you're saying, "Dare to dream." You know, you're like, wait a minute. So dare to dream. You get to the point you're dreaming, and now you release the dream, and here it comes. You know, the dare to dream and getting that people that were here before us, our parents, our educators, we can say our leaders, pastors, what have you. We get to the point when we get to release it, there's also that unsaid thought, hopefully, that these people are a part of what's going on here.
Right. That it's being witnessed by your community and by you.
Exactly. Right? It cannot just be so dare to dream and be out there and you release your dream and now all of a sudden here comes everybody flying at you like you're crazy, you know, because
I'm not an island, right?
Exact, man. Let me tell you. That is a tough sell for a lot of people, but it's common sense. It's common sense, and people know this when it comes to emergency. When it comes to
and we're coming back to that, and we keep circling back to that, like, right? Circle the fucking wagons, dude. LGBT, all the minority communities, the entire labor working force, every blue collar motherfucker in the world. Every immigrant that's ever been, you know, I'm forgetting people, but every disenfranchised group that is, let us join together. We're unstoppable. How much money does one need? You'd think after $100 million, you would start a trust that would just run your business in perpetuity, and you could go kick your feet up on a goddamn island somewhere. But these motherfuckers want to change how humanity evolves.
You know how nature's beautiful thing when a tree grows, has abundance, its cup runs over, and it spills some back to the land. Well, it seems like when people amass that controlled well, they try to bottle it all up. There's nothing that they try to spill out. And if they do, it goes into charities or they start something that almost seems reluctant to be doing. And if they play a little bit like nature, which is what we were talking about with our whole conversation, wouldn't some of that spill back down to the people just naturally? And would it be like, okay, you know what? I'm doing really well. How are you doing well? Because a lot of people are supporting your cause. Let's make it happen in real time. The problem with pastors and churches got to the point where pastors a long time had little raggedy tin roofs and huts and everything else, and then they figured their game out and they started making more out of the moment. Well, when it got to the point where they got their cup full, it should have been running back down into the pews, into the people. But they got selective too, like the rich did. They got selective. They're not for profit. So the problem with that was instead of doing it like nature now, when they try to control it even more, we ran into what we call the thinning out of resources that should be available to people once it was given so freely to them, however they got it. If they got the hoarding share of it, here you go. Because apples come with the
hoarding of resources.
They fall back down to the ground, and when you hoard stuff like that.
And you know what? I came up with an analogy in my head while you were saying that, and it's an oak tree, right? An oak tree drops all its acorns every year, right? But these motherfuckers are so greedy. They're out there picking up all the acorns, and then they're gonna go sell them. And they're already so rich. They're already so rich they could retire. So it's pointless. But it's become a game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, come on, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, fucking Gates, their great grandkids would never have to work a day. So what are they doing?
Yeah, we hear that among, you guys have been good stewards, good farmers. Well, what I also watch is how are you actually releasing it? And I look for the natural aspect of it, not, okay, we started a foundation, business is business, the way it's been put
Yeah, no,
together.
fuck your foundation.
But have you actually walked out in the streets and said, okay, here, these acorns, we're going to leave these on the ground for you guys because we see there was a need, like they do with water. They brought natural resources, Mulholland out there in California. I was listening to his story again for the first time in some years. When Mulholland and the buddy got together and they pretty much ran through people and did all these undercutting deals to get water to create California. I was thinking, like, there's a lot of deals.
To create LA.
Yeah. So, I mean, and yeah, we don't want bloodshed and all that kind of stuff, but at least you got some people that said, shit, look, the desert is dry. There's people that could probably use this. Let's make something happen and leave some on the ground for people. And they didn't hoard it all. As a matter of fact, I guess they split off at some point because they got into an argument. They got into
No,
argument
they did
outgive each other. They tried to outgive each other, I think it was.
No, they did hoard it all. They did hoard it all. They took the water from the Owens Valley, which was a lush orange orchard, and they left it a desert.
Was it up the north version, right? From where they got it from? Up north?
Yep. They told them they were going to take half the water, and then they ended up taking all of it.
So they softened the story up, which, again, goes back to what we're talking about, all these dark underhand deals. Because now this last story that I got, I kind of figured they softened it up, and that's us to look into it if it matters to us. But the last story I got was when they went up there and they got the water. Yeah, there was bloodshed. Yeah, there was, they had falling out and people didn't agree and all the stuff which we think would take place. They made it seem like it never, at some point, they did so well. The people started to benefit from it in cities. Palm trees are brought in and homes.
In one way, it depends. Okay, so check it out. It depends whose perspective, right? So here you're looking from the developer's perspective, right? So from the developer's perspective, we created a suburb. We brought in palm trees where there was a desert. We created whole communities.
That damn dam got their ass though. That dam broke.
They got their ass handed to them, dude. Nobody knows about that. You know about that?
Yeah, man. Listen,
200 houses washed away.
All kinds of stuff. I follow patterns. And when I think
200 houses washed away, dude. The worst dam disaster in U.S. history.
People were killed. It's crazy with ideas that we're talking about to help come together, which we can. There has to be something that people have to think about that keeps us alive and healthy enough that we can benefit from without being selfish and greedy. Because when the selfish and greed kicks in, and envy and strife, all the stuff in the Bible, they're talking about jealousy, envy, and strife. We're done. It's been over and over and over and over and over.
I'm not even a religious man. I'm not even a religious dude. But I just look at history, and anytime anybody gets up on their shit, it just repeats itself.
It just repeats itself.
I agree. Like intellectual leftists make themselves sound dumb because they get so up in their head hypothecating on shit and not coming up with a fucking plan of action. Like what do we do? It's really simple. What do we do? And you and I are talking about, well, let's fix the soil because that's the real thing. Like fucking global warming is real. All this other shit's out of our control, y'all. There might be a revolution on Wednesday. We don't know. If I were you, I would stay home. But what we can do is we can compost.
In Africa, there was going back to earlier in our conversation, there was a couple groups like that. Now there's three thoughts going on here. First, I'm going to say Africa was talking about how they're using their waste. So when they eat, they shit, and they take it, and they go and recycle it. in the documentary watching, the gentleman was talking about how everybody but three places, and the gentleman was an actor. His name's coming to me in a second, but in the short form, three people signed up on this treaty, which is probably what was going on with the China situation you were talking about. Everybody but the United States, someone else, and someone else. Can you imagine?
I can. It's like the Paris. It's like the Paris Climate Accord. We didn't sign it.
Thank you. And that was number three. The gentleman from Paris was the one that came up with that idea, which got all those people sitting in the round to think about the state of our world. And everybody except for three, and us, the United States, wasn't a part of that. And that was part of that documentary. So, yeah, I kind of got a little bit of the Chinese in there, but where I caught it, it was through the gentleman that was French. Because they were actually, he was, I just seen it yesterday, by the way. He was in the car.
And it's really saddening because here we are not wanting to take a part in it. And aren't we supposed to be, like, at least we toot the horn of being the country that sets the trend, that shows everybody the right way, right? The leader of innovation, right? Well, but that hasn't been for fucking decades. So
what we talked about was because there's so many hidden deals. And when people come forward and try to say, hey, we've seen there's some shit in the game here. They get killed or, you know, the United States puts a spin on it. And it's like, okay, enough is enough, man. You got the people on the ground and we got us confused. You got the people on the world confused. And the ones that are really benefit from it, they're in the shadows, you know, saying, fuck you guys, you know. Not the best way to express it, of course, but sloppy Jones.
But it's a good point and a very legitimate point in that we've so lost our way. You know, we have so lost our way. And, you know, the division, the divide and conquer it's the oldest trick in the book. And you got to be able to spot that and smell it, right? Like what's that lyric in the song? I can smell a pig from a mile away. Oh, Kid Rock. Yeah, I love that.
The collective. Is your dad or granddad very white?
From a mile away.
He said what? Is he what?
Hey, butthead. This guy said smell. I smelled your mom.
Hey, Beavis and Butthead. I can smell your butt from here.
I didn't lose my way. My cousin's in fucking Texas. What are you talking about?
Huh? I don't know. What are we talking about?
Que paso tú?
Talking about the earth, man. Talking about healing the soil.
Healing.
Talking about apparently according to Mr. Collective here, we got 9 years left, people. Do you feel the urgency like I do? Do you love animals? Do you love plants? Have you ever met an animal you like?
I said the collective. Is your dad or granddad Barry White? I'm asking for a friend.
Oh, Barry White. No.
Oh, come on. You could do some Barry White, dog. You got a deep voice.
You know, when you live with your own voice, our own voice, you don't really hear it.
Hey, Beavis. I know an animal. It's your mom. Hey, take that back, Billweed.
And I got to do a recycle on this one. And you want to take this party to another rock?
Right? Yeah, this is...
I can't wait to use it, man. I got to use it.
The last 60 seconds of this podcast is exactly why we should not leave this planet. Just gonna fucking leave that there.
Oh, man. You know, I see some miracles in this short time living as you and I have known, and I know we could do it, but when we get these little spots where someone may get upset about something and they don't realize their influence, there's an energy that goes along with what they're able to do.
Dude.
They affect the world. They let the energy out, and people get tripped up and taken off course. The ones that are weak, that is, and they don't. Some people don't even know. So I guess we could say kind of weak, right? And then they just
weak-minded.
perpetuate it. They perpetuated into what we see. It is all over
That's
the world.
it.
The same thing good songs do.
That's
Negative
it.
energy do the same damn thing, man. It's crazy.
I like Elon though. I think with the things that Elon is trying to accomplish, it's actually a betterment for humanity. Even the solutions he comes up with are better than what Bill Gates has said he wants to do. I don't trust Bill Gates for a second.
And these conversations we're having like the ones that are who can put a value on what we have, even though it may not be tangible. But these conversations right now enrich the soul of the universe right here on this planet. Because we get a chance to be strange people coming together. Hence my title, The Collective. People, we're a family of strangers. When we get together, man, we have some conversations that a lot of times we could be blocked because your buddy could say, hey, let's go over here. My girl can say, let's go over here. You know, something could distract you. And we never connect. But when we connect, doing like these guys do when they plan meetings or because they got a title or something, a doctor or whatever, they get around and they have these conversations that typically don't come out like this. But anybody can have it. Like you and I, and we're thinking about this stuff, but we're not doctors maybe, or we're not nuclear physicists or anything like that. We're like where we are in our world and very relevant. This is what we needed. Most people needed to be able to laugh a little bit like they're doing and have thought-provoking, deep, rich, engaging conversations with one another, despite wherever we are on the planet and our differences. Be able to get together and talk and think about these things that are going on without it being interrupted. And when we get distracted, these conversations aren't had. And the chance of trying to plan something like this and have it come off the cuff like we have been, that right there is challenging in itself because the visual is so powerful. We're looking at a person. You're going to be on guard most of the time because we're what? We're strangers. So when we got a platform that allows us to kind of openly express ourselves and talk, and it's like, okay, we can kind of have like this whole playful figure in front of us. The visual is tempered down, and now we got to listen to what the person and think about what the person's saying. Going back early in the broadcast, what I was talking about, that's so important. You know, not just in stereo, but we're going to see this happen. A little bit more as the months wear on, because we got a lot of the answers right here. And then if we're challenged, it's not like you can look at the person and say, "Oh, they got a hat on, so I'm going to just go ahead and take my thought. Santa Claus is real." You know, we're going to think, because no matter what you're looking like, if we're mindful of what the hell we're holding, I'm holding a piece of glass and I'm looking at an animated character in my hand. You're saying something, man. You're not wasting your time. You're saying something. I'm saying something. Let me think about that.
We're breaking through the bullshit of like, oh, my newscasters are blonde and blue-eyed and fucking, or a tall, dark, handsome guy wearing a suit, or like, you know, fuck all the shit. Like you were saying, all the brainwashing, the subliminal brainwashing shit that goes along with a fucking image, right?
This is organic right here. Talk about organic. This is organic.
You can't get more organic. Like, I really don't know who you are, but I feel like I know you. You know, we've had two really deep conversations about a whole bunch of shit.
Can you imagine a tree growing out of the ground from this conversation? I would want that. I'd be like, you know what? That'd be cool as hell. That's my damn neighbor. You are my neighbor. You are my neighbor. You're my neighbor.
Dude, I would like to go plant an oak tree.
You're my neighbor. And right now, you put the tree in the ground. You know, I'd have to go on this and still pay attention, of course, this energy, because I know, you know what, man, I got a good sense that this is going to be a good tree or a good plant, and then go from there.
Or you just look at the oak tree. Or you just look at the oak tree that you planted.
What was I going to say earlier, man? It's coming to me within that vein of thought there about the senses. Okay, we mentioned evolution, all right? Evolution, well, all of this stuff that was given to us, if we have our senses in the way that we know it. Let's say, I'm assuming, you know, you got your eyes, you can smell and taste and all that. It's to protect us. You know, first, I mean, naturally, a lot of this stuff is played off us in identifying predators and things of that nature. So as time wears on, it's been adapted to whatever it is we needed for these different things that we pay attention to. Where we may be smelling a woolly mammoth and, 15 miles away or something like that for hunting. If it's a matter of coming to the point of killing and falling and eating, then we can smell it rain and stuff, or seeing, our way down a path or something. We took all of those times throughout the eras and then turned it into things that are superficial and a lot of times pointless to even be thinking about. But someone before us, all of us on this platform, um, started all of this madness, and it just took on a life of its own. These things are supposed to be here as useful tools to help us through life. And if we're not careful, some of the things that we do pay attention, think about when we hear the color of a skin. I have to smile every time I hear that, because when I look at a Crayola crayon and I see brown, I see brown. I don't see black. But what we were talking about a few minutes ago that you mentioned, it's like you get, or maybe Juan mentioned it. What's attractive? Choosing what's good, what's good to look at. Well, damn, people were told to think these things rather than getting to the point where, okay, although I was influenced to think this, I can think myself. Let me think.
Thank you.
What I like. And even though I got this information, that's their information. Is it not something that I want, or is it something that I want to continue to think and have as my own? Because I can think. It'd be pretty interesting to see how our world looks, because we're constantly, not giving our power away, being mindful. Remember, what does it matter to me? Is it my thoughts, or is it their thoughts? Because I know that my gift is to protect me from something, that could maybe help me or hurt me or whatever. But someone is trying to put some bullshit in my head that I don't, doesn't make any sense to do with anything, And I have to smile. I think of all these scenarios. I think of all these scenarios that we tell ourselves what to think. We tell ourselves what to think. And if we give away our power to be able to do that, we could be led into anything.
So true. And like with all these divide and conquer tactics, the different bathrooms, which bathroom are you going to use? What's your preferred gender? Like, what's your preferred pronoun? All these conversations. And I don't mean anything, I accept everybody for who they are, and I'll meet them where they are. I'm cool with that. Treat everybody equal, and it becomes really, really simple. Then you don't need to have all these other conversations, right? And I think all these conversations are distracting us from the fact that the billionaires of the world made a killing this year, and we're still killing the planet, and we got, according to Mr. Collective here, 9 years left now. What are we going to do, right? Like, I want to teach people to compost. I want to teach people that no matter how small your backyard is, you can be growing more than enough food for yourself and have enough to give away. And if you can then help a neighbor develop a little vegetable garden, you guys can alternate crops and grow different shit and have an abundance. It's instead of the scarcity mindset, it's the mindset of sharing. And once you lose that scarcity mindset, then you're opened up to the abundance of the universe, right? Because this planet created everything we need to thrive and flourish. So if you just tap into your soil and help your soil, you don't feed the plants, you feed the soil, right? So hopefully we can get some people into this movement, protect the earth around your square footage. I lived in a condo and I grew a ton of food. It took me a year to improve the soil, but I did it mostly for free, right? With like dead leaves and bunch of shit like that, some straw, some cardboard, dead leaves, and then rejuvenated this soil, man. And then I planted a vertical garden, right? I planted these like arbors that would hold my tomato plants. I planted 8. I had 2 harvests of 30 tomatoes each.
Oh man, my tomatoes last year in February, they kept growing after I planted them. I mean, same thing. I built the box and everything. I used a PVC tube, vented it, put the plastic over it, and took the dog shit, threw it in there, bananas and all of that. And
yeah, man.
I kept saying, if all of us jumped in instead of tackling down toilet paper and forgetting we can shit in the woods if we need to, or wash our asses,
Right.
Hopefully, of course, that's not the naive thinking. Of course, having water available. Sure, there's a lot of other things, but if we can get clean, get to a place where people use dry dirt, but there's other ways, then gardening was something quickly to say we need to be able to eat and help one another. Let's plan food for that time in the future. Get to that point. That's what it did last year. Last year I heard, okay, we need a mask, we need to keep our hands clean, and I said, what is really needed too? Okay, well, we're going to need to be able to have some vegetables. If it's lamb we eat, get lamb, a couple of chickens, start preparing ourselves so that in the event our neighbor goes hungry or we need something, we got our food source has a rhythm to life, and didn't waste any time executing it. Talked about it, planned, protected, and did it. And here it is, January, and that whole year, I had to actually just dug the plant up, dug it up, and get ready to plant some more. But that thing,
that's
all
so
the
cool.
corn, all the tomatoes, and I said, hearing your story, I said, look at us. So many of us actually did that. It was like, you know what? Okay, well, and my seeds in the garage, I was mentioning earlier, are waiting. Can you imagine that mindset?
That's awesome.
And
congrats on you for saving your seeds, dude. I still got some seeds too. I was in a condo and I saved seeds.
Pumpkin seeds, squash. I got some melon. I got what do we got here? Tomatoes. Shoot, man, I got some spinach. I got sage. All kind of stuff, man. It's just amazing, that little box there. Some of them I haven't even named, but peppers, peppers. But I said,
that is the power. Growing your own stuff, but then saving seeds. So you could be self-reliant, and you could be keeping. You might be the person that kept that one strain of that vegetable alive.
Yep.
You never know.
So we sat there and I kept watching it. Once it got it going, it had ample enough water and nitrate and everything else it needed. And hey, we pretty much did. The birds come in and poop in there, and the dog scoop the dunk in there, and I said, this is on a micro level something that's a major importance.
Oh yeah.
I hope a lot of people are doing it.
They've been saying 9, 10 years for like 5 decades.
They said about, what did I say, 2030? It's getting closer. You and I know, like they said about the crash of the computers. This is they have
said 5 decades? No, it ain't gonna be 5 decades, man. It's gonna be way quicker than that.
That's funny because a lot of dating coaches say that to men to think of in abundance mentality.
I wear my dreads on the inside, bro.